eventually getting over the line only by 6 frames to 5. What a battle Barry Hawkins puts up. Well, Stephen Hendry and John Higgins, of course, are all always good value for money and highly entertaining. They've met many times before, and they now play for a place against Ronnie O'Sullivan in tomorrow's best of 17 frame final. There you see them in the bottom half of the draw, having both come through by the same scoreline in their semi-finals yesterday. Stephen Hendry beating David Gray 5-1, and John Higgins beating the qualifier Stuart Bingham 5 frames to 1. But here we go with the intros.
Certainly has the X factor. Hoping to gain the title for the 3rd time, would you please give it up for the Wizard of Wishaw, John Higgins?
Yes, a winner of the Grand Prix in 1994 and again in 1999.
And now on to a man who has set record after record. He is undoubtedly one of the greatest players of all time and has achieved what no man has done in the game. Ladies and gentlemen, 7 times world snooker champion, Stephen Hendry!
What a marvellous CV this 36-year-old Scot has. And apart from those 7 world titles, of course, amongst his many others, 4 times a winner of this Grand Prix. The first time in 1987, incidentally, he became at that time the youngest ever winner of a ranking event. Well, I mentioned the 27 previous meetings between these two, and it's not been particularly one-sided either. Stephen has won 15, and John there has won 12. In fact, the most recent one went his way. That was in the Masters at Wembley earlier this year, when John beat Stephen 6-2 in the quarter-finals. Their very first meeting, just for the record, goes all the way back to this particular event, the Grand Prix, way back in 1995. They met in the final. Stephen Hendry won on that occasion. That was the last of his 4 victories in this competition. Neil, hard to choose a winner here, but I suppose the bookies have had to come to some kind of conclusion on how they see it.
Yeah, Hendry is just favourite 8-11 with John Higgins at even, so just like favouritism for Stephen. But it's a heavyweight clash, this one, isn't it? Of two of the greatest players we've seen in snooker, and I think out of respect, there's just not too much between them. And I think when you see these two fellas play, it's all about who plays well on the night. So hard to choose. I'm just looking forward to what's going to be I think a terrific match. But interesting that Stephen starts off with a long red miss, and that is a little bit predictable this week, I have to say. If anything is about Stephen's game that is on the negative side, his long game's not been very good. Not been very good at all. But in the balls, he's been as dangerous as ever, making 2 centuries in his match against David Gray, and looking deadly. Of course, these two used to practice together, didn't they, many, many years ago. I think that John will owe Stephen a lot in the help that he gave him in practicing together. John was a younger player of the two. Stephen was already established. Spent many hours on the practice table together.
Eight.
Surprising miss.
John Higgins, 8.
Very surprising miss.
Okay. Ordinary one, yeah?
Just overcut that red. Here it is again. Always down at the bottom jaw. And Stephen, as is always the case on those shots, finding it difficult to get the cue ball away from the pocket. When the red is right over the hole like that, it sometimes is awkward because the jaws of the pocket seem to stop the cue ball from coming away. Still think he'll probably get the black if he takes it on, which I'm sure he will, but it is a little bit more difficult than he would have wanted. nowhere near. A bit too thin.
Stephen Hendry 1.
Bit of tension out there, I think, Mike. That's all there is to say about this match.
Yeah.
They've played all those times, but nothing changes in snooker. They've got a lot at stake, chance to get to the final, and both missed a couple of easy balls already.
They'll settle down to it, I'm sure. Stephen, of course, was not long since in a final, and that was that Northern Ireland Trophy, which took place in Belfast a couple of months ago during the summit. And Matthew Stevens beat him 9-7 to take the trophy there.
Well, there's what can be seen. Stephen with a chance to pop this red. The problem is, cue ball's going into a few other reds, which makes position difficult. But if he does miss it, you feel that he'll leave a lot on. And a good shot. Those kind of long shots, he's been alright at it. It's the ones that have been quite straight with screw or stun. Lovely result there to get onto either the pink or black. Got a choice of high colours.
Eight. 9. 16. 17.
I don't think he's got the ideal angle here. I'm sure he would have preferred a bit lower on this black. What you would say is probably the worst angle you could have. Just off straight, the wrong side of that being straight. So there you saw that extra force used to play on the next red. Played it pretty well, in fact very well.
24.
Couldn't have controlled that any better. There's only one red at the bottom that he was playing on, and he's on it nicely.
$25.
Now there is another red which will pop to the left corner. That one,
32.
bottom of the 4 below the pink. There you can see.
$33.
Seen that conditions this week that have been conducive to good snooker throughout. Been some great talent on show as well, of course, but often is the case when the tables are really running nicely, as seems to be the situation this week. The breaks will flow. Nice break of this tournament. Barry Hawkins, a magnificent 1-4-5 only this afternoon.
40. 41.
Stephen just with a bit of thought here, because even though he's nicely on the blue with an absolutely perfect angle to go down for the reds, next red's not entirely straightforward. He's got to play off 2 cushions, I feel, round the angles here with topspin. Well, that's worked out okay. He didn't play it that way though, because he wouldn't have played into the pink like that. He didn't touch a red. Played round 2 cushions into the reds, but It's fine. He'd like to get over there if he could through that gap, but the other red is kind of in the way. It's got to be a really delicate screw shot to get his cue ball through that gap. Oh yes, absolutely perfect.
$47. $54. $55.
So likely to play on the red that's at the bottom of the 4, which are below the pink spot. The one that's just in shot now will be the next red.
$62.
And red and a high colour will be enough.
$63. $70. $71.
Oh, we're not going to start this semi-final with a century, are we, Neil? I think Stephen has every chance now. What a way to start.
78.
Oh, we could do, couldn't we? I mean, the awkward red is the one on the left-hand side cushion. But I'm sure that's very potable. He's got an angle here where he may even
86.
push the red out. Here, it's not often done from a red, but I think he'll just play to knock the other red into play because the pink's in his favour. There's the next colour. Great shot. Usually you see a player knock the red from the cushion using a colour, but there was a bit of innovation from Stephen. Slightly tricky this one, but you'd like to think he could get it and make a century to start this match. This match we're eagerly awaiting. It looks like 91. It's not going to disappoint us, Mike, because this is a tremendous start, isn't it?
It's a marvellous start if you name Stephen Hendry, but not so for John Higgins, of course. But a slightly longer match, of course, remember, than we've been watching hitherto. Best of 11 here in these semi-finals.
Yeah, I mean, John actually got in first in this frame, didn't he? Stephen missed a long red, and John got in first and missed a surprisingly easy red, didn't he? Which he overcut, but this is for the century.
And there it is.
100.
The 31st we've had this week here in Preston.
$103.
And the 678th, would you believe, of Stephen Hendry's remarkable career.
107.
Good cueing on the brown. Misjudged the green, but that was a nice shot.
Stephen Hendry, 107.
Well, the missed blue of no consequence. an excellent start from the 7 times world champion. A century break, 107. He has laid down his intent in this semi-final. He leads John Higgins 1-0. Hall for further coverage of this second semi-final in this week's Grand Prix between Stephen Hendry and John Higgins. They've just come out a moment or two ago, and frame 5 is just underway. Just a reminder of the scoreline: Stephen Hendry at the mid-session interval, there you see it, bottom centre of your screen, leading John Higgins by 3 frames to 1. So a long way to go, possibly, maybe another 7 frames. It's the best of 11, remember. The first to 6 going through to meet Ronnie O'Sullivan in tomorrow's best of 17 frame final.
Pretty difficult safety shot here, so he may just be forced to take on the red to the right corner. There is those 2 that don't go. The 2 at the bottom, down by the right-hand corner pocket. The right one of the 2 will pot. That's the one. This may take him back to bulk via the other red. But he needs it to go in, really, so he doesn't have to worry about that side of it. Well, it did take him back to bulk.
1.
And it's given him a great chance. Got an angle on this red. He can probably get on the black, although where the black will go after that is anybody's guess. Either on its own spot or perhaps on the pink spot. Now, as a consequence, I think he's going to play up onto pink or blue. Probably pink.
6.
Didn't really want to play the black yet. He'd like to get those reds away from the black spot first, if he could.
Thirteen. 19. 20.
John just looking and hoping that Stephen breaks down. Now, I think he played on the red directly above the black. That would be a nice one to get out of the way. I'm not sure if he's on it as he wanted to be. I think he went a bit too far, but it still goes. And it heads up towards the blue. And by way of position.
26.
Very straight on the blue, so it might be the pink. There's the angle, in fact, just the other side of straight, so that's no use. That was good, though, pushing that red away and opening up 3 others.
32.
There's those 3 that are there for the taking now.
I
think it would be a surprise if he didn't win the frame from here, despite the fact that the black is not there. Those reds are very open around the pink.
$39.
39.
40.
He's looking very focused, Neil. Very focused indeed. You made the remark earlier on that this week when he's been amongst the balls, he's been deadly. And he's proving your point precisely in this frame so far.
He got a bad contact there. That was one of the few we've seen. I don't think we've had too many problems with kicks in this event. We always talk about it when there are loads of kicks, but it's not been too bad. But there was one, a strange one actually. It didn't seem to jump that much, but it definitely made a strange sound, and all the pace went out of the cue ball. I don't think he hit it badly in any way. It was just a bad contact. So it's made him think a little bit, stopped him in his tracks for a moment. I still feel that he'll go on to win the frame should he get this opening red. That's the opening red. Of course, he's halfway through a break, but little gap there in proceedings while we had the balls cleaned, and he's looking good again.
Well.
Stephen Hendry, 48.
You see his arm jut round at the back there. I don't know if he exaggerated that because he'd hit it so badly, but amazing that. There it is again. Watch his elbow go round at the back. I think he was just exaggerating a point. I don't think it was as dramatic as that at the time. I'm sure he probably didn't hit it right because he made an audible groan at the time of contact between the tip of the cue and the cue ball. Good shot. So a lifeline for John.
It would be quite a steal, wouldn't it? Because Stephen looked to be going so smoothly.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work on, especially after that shot. That was very lacklustre. It's a long way short of where he wanted to be. It's really thin, this. You can hardly reach it. Well, if he's on that red, it's worked out alright, but it's very tight. And John
14
isn't sure, I don't think. He really would love to be on that red. It gets that one out of the way. He can run through. Well, I think he's kind of got to make it go. I think he can get to just a touch maybe of side to straighten up the angle. Yeah, that's fine. Well played.
15.
In fact, I'm not even sure whether he used side in the end. Maybe just a fraction of.
Yes, it did look as though he was addressing the cue ball on its left-hand side. Very clever little shot.
So really, in many ways, that shot on the black where he was
20.
the wrong angle on it has helped him because it put him on a red that he wouldn't have normally played on. It's giving him a chance.
$23.
That looks nice as well. That's perfect. You can lay him behind those two reds, which are close together, or play on the one on the side cushion. Gives him plenty of options.
$28.
John just getting up and having another look. I have the angle to run through onto the black. I think originally he went to screw that in.
29.
But it's gone a bit too far. Slightly down the table. There's the shot that Stephen missed. Big shock at the time. Well, I think we're down to real crunch time now for John. This red with the rest, if it goes in, makes him a very strong favourite in this frame. Also, if he gets too high colours with these reds, you won't need the pink, which is just a bit tied up. Yes, I think he'll just have a quick glance at the scores here, just to make sure that he takes high colours. Certainly with the last thread, this black will make the difference, only 4 points. Provided he doesn't take the yellow, I think he won't need the pink, and that is absolutely crucial. So he's just checking this out. The last thing he wants is to need the
44.
pink to win the frame. I think the brown will be fine. That'll make him in front by 1 point, and then yellow to blue will be enough.
$49. $51.
Well, this could be a turning point in the match, because it did look like 4-1. And also Stephen will have a bit of time to think about that shot he missed, and he kind of turned his elbow around as if he hit it badly, and he's got plenty of time to sit in his chair and work out what went wrong.
54.
And sometimes you don't need to be thinking about things like that. It can play on your mind.
This is John's highest contribution of this match, his first half century. Just come at the right time, I feel. And all through that missed pink
63.
by his opponent, Stephen Hendry.
No heroics here. This will be over the pocket or in the pocket, with Stephen needing a snooker.
59 and a frame.
A very nice pink. Not that he needed it, but that will have done John Higgins' morale no end of good, and it's kept him well in this match, which looked to be running away with him as Stephen built up that break, which foundered through the missed pink. So Stephen Hendry 3, John Higgins 2, frame 6 after this. In Guildhall, prior to the start of the 6th frame of a possible 11 in his semi-final against his fellow Scot, Stephen Hendry.
Stephen Hendry to break.
This for the pleasure, if you like, of meeting Ronnie O'Sullivan, the defending champion, in tomorrow's best of 17 frame final. Stephen Hendry led 3-1 at the interval and looked to be going 4-1 ahead in the previous frame, but broke down on 48 when he missed a pink. John stepped in with a 69 to pinch it and reduce the arrears to just the 1 frame. Oof, oof, oof. 57% for John Higgins on long pots. That's a little on the low side.
Yeah, he's been a bit in and out tonight. He's done some good clearances, played some good shots, but 1 or 2 mistakes have been made by both players. Stephen in the middle of a small crisis of form. John in a crisis of 4 points.
Stephen Hendry 4.
I think Stephen will have it on his mind though that he missed that pink, and then the next chance he missed a red into the same pocket. These things do get to you sometimes, and John will be thinking that he should have made more of that opportunity as well. At the moment he has lost his game. This is something that we've seen occasionally from Stephen in recent months and years, whereby he just loses his cue action for a while. It usually comes back.
That was such a long way from the pocket.
3 shots in a row into that pocket he's missed by a long way, and
1.
as I said, even Stephen, the great player that he is, probably the greatest of them all, I'm sure has got a few thoughts in the back of his mind that aren't all that positive over it. But he's probably the best in the world at putting it all behind him. It may take him a while, but At the moment, he just lost his way.
8. Nine.
Well, that should be his next red. He's the kind that even I usually get, Neil.
15.
Yeah, quite close to the pocket, I suppose. But, he's got a nice position on the next blue.
Twenty-one.
Probably swing this around 2 cushions for the next red. There's the angle he has. Topspin used here. Now here, he's got
28.
an obvious potting angle to go into the reds. You can either screw into them or maybe play with topspin and hope to develop some more and get onto a colour. Oh, that's a good shot. Cue ball's a bit close to the side cushion. Should be alright. Just a little bit of extra pressure on this particular shot. But he made it look easy.
36.
So there's that shot he missed. We saw that the pink in at the end of the last frame as well. And he missed another red into that pocket also. 3
37.
consecutive potting attempts, all missed into that one pocket and missed by a long way. So a bit of work, Stephen, a bit of thinking to do, and John just giving him plenty of time to think, as we mentioned. And John is just getting into that little zone he gets into
44.
where he starts to look very, very dangerous. Stephen has kind of gifted him his head, and
45.
he's taken advantage. Well, he got a hold of that one.
52.
I think there's a red which will pop to the right corner.
A second consecutive half century. It's looking a lot better for John Higgins than it was earlier.
$53.
Of all those encounters I referred to earlier in the evening, 27 of them these two have had, John has won the last 2. And reasonably comfortably, actually, in the British Open last
61.
year, 5 frames to 2 at the quarter-final stage, and at the same stage in the Masters earlier this year, 6 frames to 2.
They're evenly matched players, aren't they?
68.
Stephen, very thoughtful. I think you've got to worry about Stephen when he starts to get angry, because he's one of the best players
69.
I've ever seen when he's got his back up, and maybe he's got to make himself annoyed, because that sometimes helps him.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because if you think back to his match against Gerard Green in the last 16, I don't think I've seen Stephen more animated than he was in that match for some considerable time. He really seemed to get himself into quite a lather as Gerard came back at him and forced it into the final frame. And I think it was that anger that took him over the finish line eventually against Gerard.
And usually he responds to an opponent who hits form, and that appears to be the case here with John. The amount of times I've seen Stephen's opponent make a century only for Stephen to come back with one straight away, just to prove a point.
85.
Well, we shall see, because there's every chance of John getting one against Stephen here in this frame. Stephen, remember, started out with a 107 back in frame 1. But John has slowly got his act together here. 69 in the previous frame. Every chance of a nice big one here.
$93.
So a beautiful break and a chance to make 135 if he takes black from the last red, but he won't be too concerned about that. Can't get anywhere near Harry Hawkins 145, but it will give him confidence. If he takes the blue, it's 133 possible break.
Now this is the 322nd of John's career.
106.
What a time to do it. 3-1 down at the interval.
108.
He's come back in fine style. Admittedly, Stephen has given him the opportunities, but you've still got to take them with both hands.
111. $115.
But all in all, it's really hotting up into a really classic match between these two heavyweights of the game.
120.
Great shot.
$126.
A clearance of 133 by the man from Wishart in Lanarkshire has put him back on level terms with the 7 times world champion. Stephen Hendry 3, John Higgins 3. Game definitely on. Stephen Hendry and John Higgins, a possible 5 frames remaining. The first to 6 will go through, and as I said, the other side of the commercial break. From 3-1 to 3-3, game definitely on. 2 very good breaks by John Higgins, bringing him back into the match. And just on a point of order, by the way, that break officially 1-2-6, although John Higgins did actually pop the black, the camera didn't quite follow the cue ball, and we can now tell you the cue ball went in off. It even looked slightly deliberate, as if John was just pulling everybody's leg. He knew it wasn't a shot for the high break of the week or anything. So a 1-2-6 it is. That will go down in the record books with 7 points going to Stephen Hendry at the end.
I think it's what it's called is a clearance in its purest sense. Nothing left on the table at the end, not even the cue ball.
Well, this is our 8th day here at the Preston Guildhall, and we've seen no fewer than 33 centuries in these 8 days. Well, it's not quite finished 8 days yet. Who knows what's still to come in this match? But that's a high level of entertainment we've seen in this opening event of the new snooker season.
It certainly is. It's been good snooker all week, and as I mentioned earlier on, that there haven't been that many kicks, not there was one or two in this evening's match, but generally speaking, we haven't been dogged by them. It sometimes happens in tournaments, and that's been part of the reason why the standard's been high. That conditions have been conducive to really good snooker. That, of course, is what we all want to see.
And mercifully, we've had very few mobile phones going off. I think the message is slowly but surely getting through to snooker followers who actually go to the venues. The China Open accepted, which was somewhat different earlier this year. But certainly the British audiences are now remembering to switch their phones off, or virtually all of them anyway, and that's good. It is so distracting if one goes off just before a player plays a shot. Oh, John here on a bit of a roll after the last two frames. Stephen, meanwhile, has got to gather himself again when he next gets the opportunity. Well, maybe here's the chance. John overcut that one. Let's have another look at it.
Wrong side of the blue, but don't think it'll make a huge difference, providing you can get to those reds down on the left of the pink. There's one there that he would like to play on. Took a little while to have a look at this. Maybe it's not entirely straightforward. He might be able to get onto the red just below the blue into the same pocket. That's what he's played. Just going to send the cue ball around the table a little bit here. I'd like to be able to hold the cue ball up here, not so it travels uncontrollably around the table. It's not bad.
7.
Bit of a crisis time, small one anyway for Stephen after what happened in the last couple of frames. I'm sure he'll be fine.
Well, applause from the audience, but not quite on the line that Stephen was looking for. He's still got the red into the left corner, but he would have preferred it to be a little easier than it is. But he's not even attempting it. Going for the double instead.
13.
It's not a shot you see Stephen take on too often.
Well, he always says he's the worst in the game at that. I don't believe him, to be honest. There's not too much of his game that is bad. Unusual choice of shot though, because there was that other red on, that finish one to the left corner. Take on a full-blooded double is quite unusual for any player, really.
19.
Well, this is where he wanted to be 2 shots ago. A much better angle on this red.
20.
But that was a bit sluggish as well. He didn't want to be there. He just may have a very slight angle, as you can see, but well, he was looking for something different to that. He's not really quite getting through the ball at the moment. He's got to play with force. And a little bit of reverse side on that. So that's what happens when you get the wrong angle on the blue. It just makes the next shot more difficult, and he's stretching now. And the pressure is building up in this break to the point where the shots are getting harder and harder. If he does play the black, it'll open the balls up, and the yellow is not really the shot you wanted to play. I think that if he plays the yellow, it'll be hard for him to get the cue ball back down the table, because the top spin that you put on seems to stop the cue ball from going anywhere.
I wonder if he might just attempt this side cushion first and just clip it in. That would keep the momentum on the cue ball, I think, Neil.
I think that's all he can do.
Like that. Well, he wasn't intending to hit the green,
well,
of
that's
course.
Even worse now, isn't it, Mike? Look at that.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Got himself into a Chinese snooker.
Well, that is... He's just querying that to make sure that spots, and to his
28.
dismay, it really does spot. Jan Verhaas wasn't joking when he put it there in the first place. It goes there, and this is... Oh, this is awful. Awful place to be in. And you can see it by his face. He can't believe that what was a good chance that 4 shots ago has descended into this, because every shot got harder, didn't it, throughout the break? And he's left now in a monstrous place.
I was a little surprised he didn't give more thought to the black rather than the yellow. He could have cut it back, and the other 2 reds near the black would have held the cue ball for his next shot.
Stephen Hendry, 28.
But there we are, end of break, and a golden opportunity, I feel, gone begging.
And Stephen will be disgusted with that, because he sets high standards, doesn't he? At the moment, he's not playing 2-1. I think it's the situation with Stephen. When the balls are open, he looks brilliant, doesn't he, still, making all those breaks. But as we've said for a couple of years now, that when the game goes scrappy, he loses interest a little bit.
He's been a bit fortunate there, John, because as you can see, he's covered that red over the pocket. Stephen can't see that. He's thinking about manufacturing something here. Red onto red. Didn't come off.
I think John Higgins needs to take advantage of these mistakes, because this is his real chance.
I was a bit surprised that Stephen took that on.
I think he was bereft of real options, wasn't he, I suppose, but he didn't give it too much thought, did he, Mike? He didn't really come down the table and have a look, because he never even hit the red that he wanted to.
One.
Well, that was a nice cannon on the other red.
Yeah, terrific little nudge that. It's just the kind of positional shot that Stephen was looking for that he never quite got, but John got there by accident rather than design in the end. The reds are nice, but the colours are awkward, aren't they? The black there, as you can see, is possible, but he's got to get to it. Pinks are way up the table as well, so even though the reds are nice, he'll do well to make it into a frame-winning chance.
Yes, and if he does pot the black, is the pink spot available? I'm not quite sure.
No, I'm not sure where it'll go at this moment in time. Might have to go behind its own spot, but he's playing up the table.
Seven.
Well, as you say, the pink spot could be either occupied or a bit tight.
We shall see very soon. Hmm.
13.
Well, it goes quite comfortably, doesn't it? Which means that the pink will pop to the left corner if John wants it. And he does.
14.
So not looking too bad now. He did well to get the pink into the game again. Stephen with a bit of thinking to do.
Yes, it's all gone horribly wrong for him the last couple of frames. He was looking in fine fettle all the way to the mid-session interval. Runs of 107 and 90 for a 3-1 lead. But some untypical errors from the 7 times world champion.
27.
And the man who's won this title on 4 occasions, more than any other.
28. $34. 35.
I think the 2 reds will pot to the right corner at least. The very bottom one might just creep past the black as well. He's not going to play on it this time. Don't think the frame's won yet.
41.
Those 3 reds have got to be taken after this one. They're, as you can see, quite grouped up.
42.
I believe that that bottom one will pot. And if he can, he would like to get on it. He's just having a close look now as to whether it will actually go. It is tight, because the red above it and that red are very, very close to being touching. There it is. And I think that just goes. Yeah, I'd say that one does go. But even then, he's got to play onto the black,
48.
perhaps, which has got to go somewhere, maybe up onto the yellow spot. Still a bit complicated, but he's at the table.
49.
Not sure about that angle. Looks a bit straight to me. If not straight, the wrong side of straight. So what's he going to do now? I can't believe that he meant to leave himself anywhere near straight, and he didn't have to do a lot with the cue ball. If the black doesn't go, he could possibly pot the red to the left centre as his next shot. I think that's what he's going to try. I think the black will have to go up onto the yellow spot. Yeah, Verhaas being kept busy because the yellow is seriously on the green spot from earlier on.
What a great shot.
57.
Pity about the position, lying virtually on the pink, but that was a terrific pot.
Yeah, I tell you what, I thought that was going to hit that near jaw and go up the table. He's playing the yellow. I should think he'll be trying to put the yellow on the side cushion as some kind of insurance and playing a snooker.
John Higgins, 57.
Well, he had to work quite hard for that, and it has given him a lead of some 29 points. But he's not home and dry yet.
Well, that's a stroke of luck for Stephen. The red has been left on, but the cue ball is over the top of the pink, and this would be a very hard pot. It's a kind of shot where I'm not sure what else he can do but go for it still, because the safety shot is still with awkward cueing. I think he'll still go for this, but it's very hard. I think he'll settle for that.
I'm sure he will. Relieved that it just found its way past the middle pocket, of course. Oh, this could be a good finish.
I think John will be disappointed that when he played that safety earlier on, he didn't get the yellow hard up against the side cushion rail, because that would have been a big help at this stage. where it is, I think it's very potable. So an anxious look from John. He needs it to go hard up against that cushion, which it hasn't done. But Stephen's got a lifeline.
One.
Now, does the black go in the right centre? I doubt it. And he's got to take a colour here because he's 28 points behind. So what does he do? Don't think he'll play a snooker. That will be his last option. It's either a long blue, or maybe a brown in the middle. But the brown in the middle, I think, is his shot. Big shot, this.
Stephen Hendry, 1.
Well, that's made a difference.
Two.
And that's made an even bigger difference. Where's it all gone wrong?
Two in a frame.
So, Stephen Hendry sits in his chair, and John Higgins has taken 3 frames in a row, all with good contributions, to come from 3-1 behind at the mid-session interval to now take the lead against Stephen Hendry by 4 frames to 3. This match gets more and more interesting. Frame 8 coming your way after the break. Preston Guildhall showing 4 frames to 3 in favour of John Higgins against his old rival and fellow Scot Stephen Hendry. What a turnaround this match has seen at 3 frames to 1, with Stephen Hendry going full steam ahead in frame 5. It looked as though he was going to go 4-1 ahead. He missed a vital pink, a very surprising miss, and since then he has been able to do nothing right. And John Higgins has done precious little wrong. He's taken 3 in a row and now leads this match 4-3. He needs 2 more for a place in the final tomorrow against Ronnie O'Sullivan. Can Stephen Hendry forget all about that pink and get back into this match?
I think you got it spot on, Mike. I think that pink, well, to use a snooker expression, did his brain in a little bit. It just changed his thinking, changed his feelings about his own game and his cue action, etc. And John, as we've mentioned before, if you give him an inch, he'll take a mile. And he's back.
I think that long pot success is up on it. On what it was. It was 50-odd% before, wasn't it? Up to 60
4.
now.
John just checking out the angle on this black. It looks from that angle like it's fairly straight. He might just be able to swing it round off 2 cushions, maybe stunning it to widen the angle on there. There you can see. Always a difficult shot, that. And he's found a way up onto the red. But there's a red to the top left,
12.
or a thin red which opens the pack up. Which one will he choose?
Had a great run to this semi-final. He's only conceded 5 frames in 4 matches this week.
We've got a great view of that one, and it was in from an early stage. Bit straight again. He can maybe force an angle by running through. There's a red which pops the other side of the table. That was probably as good as he could have achieved.
18.
John usually does perform well at the start of the season. If you think back in recent years, I remember the start of the 2001-2 season, I think it was. He won the opening 3 tournaments of the season, and 3 years ago he got to the final
26.
of the Regal Scottish Masters. 2 seasons ago won the LG Cup, and last year won the British Open, all very early season tournaments. He usually practices hard during the summertime.
27.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think he works very hard at his game, and that's important, isn't it, for any player? Well, some of the players take a summer break. That break just drifts on into autumn a little bit, and don't always get their game back quickly. But John always puts the hours in,
32.
a bit like Stephen, really. And he's on a roll at the moment, no question about that. He broke the Reds up 2 shots back, did it nicely.
33.
Oh, it's beginning to look very good for John Higgins, and of course if he does win this frame to go within 1 of victory, very difficult to see a way back even for the likes of Stephen Hendry.
Yeah, well, I think Stephen will have to just prove to himself that all is well with his game, because sometimes it's easy to forget all the good things that you've done. Like, for instance, he made a century and a 90 break early in the match, but he has fallen to pieces. But I don't think it'll last forever. I'm sure John is aware that if he gives Stephen a good enough chance, he'll take it.
39.
Now that red will go to the left centre. It was a pretty good spot from John. It must be tight.
46.
From this angle it doesn't appear on. There you can see it just creeps through, doesn't it? Nicely played.
47.
Stephen would love to think he could get another chance this frame, but it doesn't seem all that likely. John's got a red on here, and I don't know whether the pink will pop into the same pocket. That looks pretty tight, but it would help if it did. And the answer is it doesn't go, and he played up for the blue.
55.
So not necessarily Stephen's last shot in this frame, and he just looks up. There's just a fraction more optimism about getting another chance. It's a funny old shot from John, really, because he had a bit of angle. Obviously the pink didn't go, which would have made things very simple, but he hit it hard, and the cue ball hardly moved. Here it is again. He really clubbed that, but nothing really in way of reaction from the cue ball. Wonder if he'll take this blue on. He probably will, because well, no, he's not. He's playing a percentage shot, I'd say. Put the yellow safe. Don't think he's going for it. Well, he's kind of achieved half the shot 55. Again, a bit like in the last time he had a similar shot. Didn't get the yellow tight on the cushion, but I suppose he's got the advantage. He doesn't really intend to throw it away, so he's playing the percentages. Who can blame him?
He's now had runs of 69, 126, 57 and 55 in the last 4 frames. And Stephen has had precious little to show since in frame 5 he broke down at 48 when missing that pink. And if Stephen does go on to lose this match, I think the history books will show But it was that pink that was the turning point in the entire match.
Yeah, it was going all so well at that moment in time. It was a dramatic swing around, wasn't it, in fortunes after that. Since then he's hardly played a good shot. Even that little break he made earlier on of around 30 was littered with difficult pots he had to take on because he'd run out of position. But it wouldn't be a huge surprise if there wasn't another twist either in this frame or in the match. I mean, it's all going John's way now, just as much as it was Stephen's earlier, but it could all change round again. These two players are too evenly matched for it to go very one-sided, I feel. John just making sure he doesn't do anything stupid and give Stephen a chance. Although Stephen is looking at something, just a safety, I think. Don't think he can get to that red to the right of the 3, or can he? He's having a long, hard look at something. So it was an obvious safety. I think he'd have played it by now. Oh, is he going for this? Well, I think he hit the wrong red first. I'm sure he went for that red, but he might have flicked the other one on the way through. That's why there was a little groan from Hendry. John will be happy where the pink's gone. That's another ball that's in his favour with that lead of 55 points. Stephen will want to pop that either when taking the reds or near the end of the frame. So a great shot from John, very well played. That's perfect cueing, isn't it? Dead straight, screwing back a long way. Just one more red needed, and just maybe a bit more difficult than the one before because you'll know this is frame ball.
Nine.
It was cueing like a dream actually, because that red and the one before, beautifully played.
What is going through Stephen Hendry's mind right now, I wonder?
Nine in the frame.
Well, he was a long way out with that, and Stephen Hendry, I thought, would come to the table in an attempt to get the snookers, but he stayed sitting in his chair, and so it's yet another one to John Higgins. 4 in a row from 3-1 down. He's now within a frame of victory and a place in the final, leading 5-3. a possible 11 here at the Preston Guildhall, and a dramatic change around in fortunes here in this all-Scotland battle between Stephen Hendry and John Higgins. Hendry going like a train, 3-1 at the interval, heading for 4-1 until he missed a pink, and then, well, the coin flipped, and there is that pink, which appears now to have become the fulcrum point of this entire match. Since then, he has been able to do very little right. John Higgins has seized upon this, has compiled breaks of 69, 126, 57 and 55 to take 4 in a row and put himself within 1 frame of a place in the final against Ronnie O'Sullivan. So, the big question is, can Stephen Hendry pull himself together, Neil? And, well, he's got to get these last 3 frames.
Yeah, I think before he gets to 3 frames, he's just got to, I think, feel good about his game again. I mean, snooker is a mind game, and when you do miss a ball like that, I can tell you it can just gnaw away at you and make you feel as if things aren't right, especially when your opponent takes advantage and you have to sit out and think about it. Obviously, Stephen is mentally as good as anyone that's ever played this game, but he is human, and at the moment he needs something to happen. And if it does, I'm sure he'll come back to his best. I didn't think he did an awful lot wrong in the last frame, in all fairness. He just didn't get a chance. John has seized the opportunity, and even though he didn't make any huge breaks, he kept the pressure on, didn't he? And Stevens, you've got to find it soon. Once again, he's in a bit of bother here with that red near the pocket. Well, there's the table. It's a bit congested, isn't it, over this side of the table. What he's doing here, I thought he might have the option here to possibly play a plant so he can knock that red close to the pocket in, but if he doesn't knock it in, at least he'll move it away from the pocket, which will be second prize.
Didn't work out quite right, did it? But where the cue ball is finished is not so bad for John.
No, and even though Stephen can see that red, it's quite difficult cueing. Sums up the way the last few frames have gone, really. Everything's been just a fraction awkward since he missed that pink. This is no different. You can see that he's not happy about it, though, because he's got up once. That was a very good shot. He was on the black, that is. Although the way he was walking around, I wasn't sure, but I think he is on it. So are we at that point where Stephen is finally got fed up with playing badly, if you know what I mean, and it's the mark of the champion that he is, that he can pull his game around. Seen it a number of times before over the years.
Well, you have to say, this is a very good opportunity for him.
16.
Oh, that's loosened them a little more. And scarcely a safe red on the table, really. Okay, a couple on the cushions, but they shouldn't be too much of a problem.
$24. $25.
Has the worm turned again, Neil?
You can almost see him mentally here, playing himself back in to form taking every shot
32.
on its merits and finding a bit of rhythm back. He's not really rushed into this break. He's just playing quite measured pace. And after a few more shots, he just could be back to something like his best. Sometimes you have to do that. Play yourself in like a batsman playing cricket or something. Just find your touch again, and he's doing it here.
40. $41.
He's taken all blacks as well, and all the reds are down below the pink, so good chance for a really big break. A bit
48.
too far for the red he wanted. There is a red into the left corner, as you can see, which is available.
$49.
Just wondering whether red that's below the black will actually hamper him in any way in terms of positional play. So if so, he may need to pot it as soon as possible. Makes it hard for him to bounce the cue ball up and down off the bottom cushion with that red there. It's in a pretty strategic place. So I think he had no choice but to just play on it, really.
56. $57.
Well, I don't think anyone thought he would just go down without a fight, as he kind of had been doing in the previous frames. There's too much pride for that.
That's not quite where he intended to finish either. The fact of the matter is, though, that
64.
at the moment he has potted 8 reds and 8 blacks.
He's on that red in the middle as well. The angle isn't perfect. All the way.
65.
Well, the cue ball has really bounced off that cushion. He's absolutely disgusted with that. I've seen that once or twice in this tournament. That cushion on one of the tables, it just came off that cushion at such speed. You'd see this again. It's like a springboard off that side cushion. It accelerated, and I don't know whether that red on the left-hand side of the table will pass the other one. And it'd be a great shame if the break ends there, because I don't think Stephen was to blame for that. But this red might just go, and this is a massive shot.
Oh, what a shame, what a shame. So close.
Stephen Hendry, 72.
9 reds, 9 blacks.
Worse still, Mike, is that the frame isn't safe.
And that, of course, is the most crucial thing of all. He just wanted that one more red to leave John needing a snooker.
I can tell you that Stephen Hendry is seething in his chair. He was really angry about what happened in the shot before. He feels that through no fault of his own, he was deprived of a chance to make possibly a 147, Mike. I think that was what he's thinking.
Oh, I'm absolutely sure you're right. First priority, obviously, to win the frame, but with this leave, wouldn't this be so terrible for Stephen if John were to clear up? Take frame and match.
He's playing well enough to do it, isn't he, as well?
Well, that's what Stephen Hendry will be well aware of.
There's one problem red, of course it's that one on the left cushion, but even that's fairly near to the pocket. It's only probably a foot down The cushion maybe a touch more than that, isn't it? Down the left-hand side cushion.
It's a left-hander shot, really. John might have to use the rest.
But it's not a problem that's insurmountable. But he needs high colours, that's the other thing to say.
8.
75 was on the table when he came back into
9.
play, but that would be with blacks, with all of the last 6 reds, so he can take a pink here, he can take another one as well. But he needs blacks with most of these balls now.
He's just got to sit,
15.
wait and hope. Oh, now then, that was a very untypical shot of John.
15.
Well, that looked like it was in the way to me. I have to say that. I thought he's going to hit the other red on the way through. Just maybe the camera angle, but he did actually do that in the end, didn't he? It was peculiar.
Well, well. Well, that red is all that Stephen required to leave John needing a snooker in this frame. So this match not over yet.
No, definitely not over yet, because Stephen's back into something like his game.
8 in the frame. Stephen Hendry.
So the 9 reds and 9 blacks were ultimately all that Stephen needed to take that frame and keep him in this match. 2 frames remain to be played. John Higgins just needs 1. Stephen still needs both of them, so it's still a bit of a task for him, but he was showing signs in that last frame that his confidence was coming back. Stay with us for frame 10.
It's where the game never ends.
Getting underway here at the Preston Guildhall in this intriguing encounter between Stephen Hendry and John Higgins. The pendulum has swung at least twice, and it just seemed to be going back again into Stephen Hendry's favour in that last frame. He had the chance of a maximum break. 9 reds, 9 blacks. He missed a red, but John eventually gave him another opportunity to seal the frame, and so he still is in with a chance of getting to the final. And John's some way out with that long attempt into the corner. John just needs 1 frame, remember. Stephen has to win both the remaining frames. Ronnie O'Sullivan awaiting.
Oh, that was very fortunate. And John really was. It was a poor safety. And that was just a magic kiss he got on the way back to bulk. Quarter ball kiss on that second red. And there's no way in the world John deserved that. Stephen's turn to misjudge the safety. Probably is equally as thin. He hit that one as the one that John did, but he didn't get the luck. left a red for John. Good starter.
Well, John's not missed too many of those in the last few frames.
Well, I don't know where that one came from, because that was just an ordinary cueing shot for someone like John. Big shot, that. Both players have played in snatches, really, haven't they, where they've looked very good and then very average. Most unusual. At the moment, Stephen's kind of back in the match, although he's gone too far again. Doesn't seem to like the way that the cushions are bouncing. I heard him just mouth the word about the bounce there. I think he feels that the cue ball accelerated once again. I didn't see it so evidently that time. Didn't have a lot of room to play with that red, of course. Just up the table there, that has actually covered him on the black.
I don't really think Stephen can blame the cushion on for that particular shot. You know, Neil, the white was hitting the cushion at a very narrow angle. It wasn't as if it was banging in at 90 degrees.
He's taking this on, Mike.
Well, that's a good recovery. Great recovery.
Certainly was. Tremendous pot. It didn't touch the sides either. It was a brave shot to play at that time, because he was clearly annoyed from the shot before. Cued it nicely, didn't he? Kind of shot he practices all the time.
Oh dear, a long way off.
Stephen Hendry, 6.
So another chance for John. I think this one equally as good as the first one, if not better, because the black now is available.
One.
Yes, and the red immediately by the black will go. And that's the one he's played on.
Yeah, he's not quite got the angle, I don't think, to just run through onto the black, but the pink is not far up the table, so that's alright. That'll be his next colour here.
7.
Choice of reds, red to the right centre, or right corner, I think, which he probably will take if he could, that red to the right corner, the one that's directly above the black. There it is, perfect shot of it. It'll open up one or two others as well. This is a wonderful chance now. Still work to do, but he's at the table in command, and Stephen did lose his way in the second half of the match. He felt as if he was just getting it back together, and he missed that rest shot. All in all, he doesn't look happy. I think it's not only about the prospect of losing, but just the way the match has panned out has frustrated him, Mike, hasn't it?
Absolutely has. I think there were two salient points in this match for Stephen. The missed pink, which we've talked about in frame 5, and also the missed red, when he'd just potted 9 reds and 9 blacks in frame 9. Okay, he subsequently went on to win that frame, I know, but I think the fact that he missed a possible maximum seemed to be gnawing at him a little.
No, I agree with that totally. It just affected his thinking. He would have dearly loved to have made another maximum, and it would have made him hard to beat in the next couple of frames. But he's
30.
Not totally at ease out there. Meanwhile, John marches on. John can only pop the balls out of there, and we're at 3-1 down. He was in trouble. The distress signals were out. But he is too good a player to just lie down and die, and he's come back strongly. I think he sensed that Stephen was struggling. He read the signs, kept the pressure on, which is a sign of a champion.
37.
A couple of times when he made 50 in frames, he could have taken on an ambitious shot, but he realised his opponent was struggling a bit. Took the safe option, which is good match snooker.
Stephen had a great start to this match. A 107 in the very first frame, a 90 in the fourth, which put him 3-1 ahead. It all seemed to be going so well. But now, John Higgins can see the winning post coming up.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that John can make a century here, in which case we'd have seen 3 plus a 90 and other breaks as well, and yet it'll be remembered as a match where some important balls have been missed as well. The stand has been good, but there's been mistakes made. All adds to the drama.
51. $58.
75 on the table. John's got a 52-point lead.
$59.
So a colour and another red, and Stephen Hendry is in deep trouble.
$64. $65.
Well, 59 the lead. Well, in fact, John needs the colour. Well, that's not a problem for him. And he's virtually home and dry.
71.
There he is. This red will just about seal it. Snookers are needed, but there'll be too many if this goes in. So
72.
It's going to be John Higgins who comes through. Stephen has had enough. He's got his cue extension. He's got all his stuff ready to go. It's been a really interesting match. Good breaks. Balls missed.
79.
That's the excitement.
Well, we saw a high-quality match this afternoon between Ronnie O'Sullivan and Barry Hawkins. Barry took Ronnie right to the brink. And this one has been an excellent match. In some ways in a different way, though. John attempting here to finish off in a blaze of glory. He's already had a 126.
86.
He's missed that one.
John Higgins, 86.
Well, it doesn't matter, because John Higgins has prevailed.
Well done, John.
An intriguing match where the pendulum swung first one way, then the other. And John Higgins it was who got the momentum to take him through to the final. Stephen Hendry made a terrific start, had great chances, but in the end it all came down to a mental game in the end, and I feel that Stephen Hendry allowed that miss pink in frame 5 to prey on his mind. So John Higgins it is who wins 6-4. He meets Ronnie O'Sullivan in tomorrow's final.